All right, wilderness crew. So I've had lots of questions about what kind of gear to take, what you should have, shouldn't have, things you may want, don't want, what to expect. So I figured it'd be easiest if I just made a quick little video. I've got all my gear spread out here. I'll show you what I have, what I will and probably won't take, and kind of give you some idea of what you're going to need. So we're going to start real quick with clothing. So you're going to want something cool and comfortable. I'd recommend swimwear with maybe a pair of running shorts and a t-shirt over it for the ladies. Guys, swimming trunks. I've worn swimming trunks. Zach wears swimming trunks, and usually just wears them while he's there. You're not going to want to take a lot of clothes, but that's a personal preference. Remember, everything you take, you have to pack. Although we'll be in canoes, we're not hiking. It's going to be a little easier to pack, so you can get away with more, but you don't want to overdo it because you want to have a good time. It's kind of about being back to the basics. It's going to be a great experience. I'm looking forward to it. But these shorts I'm wearing is probably what I'll wear to wilderness. They're a fast dry cotton, so that way I can get them wet. You got to think about wanting to get your clothes dry before you lay down for bed, or if you're going to change at night, you're going to want to be able to hang them up and make sure they're going to be dry by morning. You're also going to want a sweatshirt for nighttime, or at least I would recommend it, because it does sometimes get cold at night. And it just feels good at night after being in the sun all day. Once that sun drops, set around the fire, put on a sweatshirt. Another thing I recommend as a comfort item is socks. I always take a couple pair of socks, put them on at night. Just really feels good, kind of helps your feet rest. Sometimes they get chafed and you get sores from your sandals or your shoes and from being wet all day. And it really feels good to put those socks on. As far as shoes, you got a couple options. I don't know if you can see the sandals I'm wearing. They've got straps on them. The current in the river is a little bit fast, I guess you can say, or strong. It will take a flip-flop off of you, so I don't recommend flip-flops, although I know some people have worn them and done just fine with them. I don't want to have to worry about my shoes. You can also get something like these, which is a water shoe. I don't like these as well because small rocks get in them, and then I got to take my shoe to get them off. With the sandal, I can just kind of pick my foot up, shake it in the water, wash the rocks out. So that kind of covers clothing. Something else, so next essential we'll move into is you're going to have a Bible. I like these small Bibles. You're going to want to keep that dry. So you have choices for keeping things like that dry. Somewhere around here I've got Ziploc bags. Ziploc bags work great. They're cheap. They're affordable. Most everybody already has them. You can buy one of these little waterproof boxes. I think we got these at Walmart for like 10 bucks. Not necessary. Again, some of this stuff's nice. You got to decide what you want and don't want. We've done this several years, so we've amassed some nicer gear. But this stuff does add up. Even when it's $10, you don't have to go out and spend a bunch of money. You can literally go out there with what you have. So you're going to want a small Bible, maybe a notebook and an ink pen. Sometimes those things are provided. Drew can probably tell us a little bit more about that. But just something to keep that dry. Ziploc bag, something like that. Move into hygiene real quick. So, bug spray, sunscreen, I'm sure is on your list. Drew said you guys all got a list. Soap. You're going to want soap. I'd recommend it when we've taken just junior high kids. Sometimes this doesn't get taken, or if it does, it doesn't get used. But you're going to want it just in case you want to use it. I personally like to bathe in the river. One of the best baths I have all year. Also, hand sanitizer. After you do your business, because we are in the wilderness, you may want to use a little hand sanitizer. I got this cheap little canvas shave bag for a few dollars. I like it because I can keep all my stuff in it. Again, in the past, I've used a Ziploc bag. Stick it in there, and you don't have to worry about it getting scattered around. With doing your business being said, it's always a fun subject. So you have choices. So this is actually a whole roll of Charmin. I vacuum sealed it. This is an emergency roll for a motorcycle trip. I don't actually take this to wilderness. Somewhere around here, here we go. I have dude wipes, a brand called butt wipes. There's all different brands. These are actually a wet wipe. You want to make sure whatever you take, your soap, your wet wipes are biodegradable. You can take Charmin, but we leave no trace. We try and not leave the place better than when we got there, right? And it's not just for us and for taking care of our environment, but for other hikers and canoers and campers. Nobody wants to walk through the woods, find your Charmin in your business. So we'll explain more about how to do your business, but you're going to want something biodegradable, because if you take Charmin, you have to pack it out. So if it's not biodegradable, you got to take it out with you. So if that's your choice, that's okay. Remember, you got to take a bag, something to carry it out with. I personally don't want to be packing that around. So another essential item, not necessarily essential, but I think it's really good to have. I don't know what's on the list, so maybe this is on there, but a whistle and a compass. Should somebody get lost, the way this trip goes, the risk of that is super, super low. But this is a nice survival item. Pick it up for a couple dollars. It don't have to be fancy. Tie it to your bag, put it around your neck. If you get lost, you can blow the whistle. People can find you. If you get really lost, you got a compass. Hopefully you've watched some YouTube videos or taken a map reading class and you know how to use that. You can find your way back to civilization. First aid, I'm guessing Drew is not expecting anyone to take first aid. I have a first aid kit here. Usually every year I've gone, that's been provided. Somebody's been responsible for first aid and appointed as the first aid person. I'm not sure who all's going this year, but I'm sure that will be the case again. So a shovel, you may want a shovel. You don't have to take a shovel. There'll be a couple shovels there. Again, this is for when you do your business in the woods. We want to dig a hole, cover that up. We'll explain more later. I have a shovel I'll be taking. You're welcome to use my shovel. So no need to pack that extra weight. One thing you will want is some sort of cordage, paracord, depending on how you're going to sleep. If you sleep in a hammock or something like that, you may want to tie it up. If you're sleeping on the ground, you may want to make a bivy tent out of a tarp. You're going to need some cordage for that. So I definitely recommend taking some cordage. You don't have to have a large amount, but also it's nice to be able to tie your gear together, things like that. So that brings me to sleeping. So you got a lot of options. I don't know if Drew's allowing tents, but in the past the general rule is if you take a tent, we're gonna make fun of you. So just plan on it. We don't usually use tents. So what most of us really prefer is a hammock. You get these little hammocks at Walmart. They unpack. They just kind of fold in on themselves. You find a couple trees, hang it up, lay in this sucker, looking up at the stars. It's absolutely gorgeous. Best night's sleep you'll ever have. So another choice is sleeping on the ground. I sometimes like to sleep on the ground. You can get you a mat like this, lay that on the ground, lay it on a tarp or a piece of plastic, and it's a nice night's sleep. Another thing is a tarp or a rain fly. So I always take a tarp. Again, I don't know if what everybody's planning on doing for sleeping. These are all preference things. They're not necessities. So I like to take a tarp. If I'm in my hammock, I'll hang it from tree to tree above my hammock, use it as a rain cover. If I'm on the ground, I'll lay it on the ground. That way I can pull it over myself should it storm, and I can kind of cover up that way. Sleeping bags. Oh, back to the hammock real quick. You can buy these straps. They're really nice. Hang them to the tree, hook your hammock up. But you can also tie your hammock up with just a piece of rope or a piece of twine, and start looking at YouTube videos, practicing knots. Trucker hitch is a good knot for tying up a hammock. We can kind of help you to do that if you don't know how to do that once you get out there. Sleeping bags. So this is always a big question for everybody. I have this super small, super compact, lightweight sleeping bag. I don't take this with me to wilderness. I use that other times when I'm camping. This is not as big as it appears. It's just the bag that it's in. But this is a little bit thicker, a little bit warmer sleeping bag. It will compress. It's too much for most nights that we're out there. So usually I end up uncovered without a sleeping bag just laying on this. But it can get cold. So my philosophy is I'd rather have it, not need it, than need it, not have it. But with that being said, again, you want to keep your gear small, light, compact. So it depends on how you're packing your gear, how you want to carry it. So you got to kind of decide what you want. I've seen a lot of people take those lightweight sleeping bags, sleep all night. They love them. It's great. It's just not the way I like to go. Okay, so now let's move on to what you're going to carry your gear in. So you have several options. So for a canoe trip, you can take a backpack like this. It's a hiking bag. Any kind of backpack, you stuff all your gear in here. It fits real nice. We're not really moving across land that much for this canoe trip. So this is really unnecessary. The other thing is you still have to, if you turn your canoe, your gear can get wet, then you have to figure out how you're going to dry it all out. Nobody likes sleeping in a wet sleeping bag, so canoes do turn over. It happens, I think, every year to somebody. Doesn't matter how experienced or how good you are, you can get turned over. So you have to kind of prepare for that idea that, hey, my canoe might turn over. What do I absolutely not want wet? So a good way to keep your gear dry is dry bags. So there's my Ziploc bags. Again, can't go wrong with Ziplocs. Dry bags. They come in all different shapes and sizes, from little bitty to great big. They're usually a thick canvas bag. Some of them are more of a plastic or almost feel like a vinyl material. You can get them with these straps. Stuff all your gear in this dry bag. You roll it over, clip it shut. It stays nice and dry. You turn your canoe, it rains on us, your gear's not going to get wet. These work great for a canoe trip. Pack your things in there, keep everything you need dry. I will be taking, and this is something I think I'm the only one I've seen take this. This is a barrel. It's actually a dry barrel. You put the stuff in there. It's got a locking ring. I can throw everything in here. Me and Zake will share this. We'll put all of our equipment in there, lock it down. It floats. They are a little bit more expensive. Again, we've done this several years. We do other canoeing, so it was worth it for me. If you're going on your first time, I would not recommend going out and buying stuff like that. Something a little more simple, something a little more basic will definitely be nice. A couple things I do recommend is a chair of some sort that folds. You want something small and compact. This is my chair. Zake has one similar. We ordered one for Cassie since she's going this year. We're excited about that. But hers has a back on it. That back could be kind of nice. The Bellevilles take a similar version, I think, with a back. If you really want to go rugged and compact, this is also a small chair. Just folds up, pops out. As you can see, once you pop the legs in, this thing does not set very high off the ground, and it's not much coverage. So if you just need something to set on the ground so that your bottom doesn't get wet, these are great. They're small, they're compact, but this is more something that would be more fitting for backpacking. Again, being in the canoe, you're not carrying your gear, so you can kind of get away with a little more. I'd recommend a little bit bigger chair. One more thing, flashlights. So you got options on flashlights, but I would recommend taking a flashlight because once the sun goes down, you're in the middle of nowhere. Only light you've got is the moon or the stars. So a couple options. These are nice. They're nice and bright, but they're a little bit heavier, a little bit harder to pack. Most people can get away with something like this. Just a small headlight. You can put it on your head, hands-free. I think this is what Drew takes actually. I usually take a bigger light just in case we need it, but hopefully we never do. But I'll probably also take a small light, something hands-free, something I can put on my head, and maybe a fresh set of batteries for it. That's going to come in real handy. As far as eating and drinking, so your water, we will pull water from the river. Should for some reason we get away from the river, we have options for pulling water from ponds, creeks, mud holes. We will pull water and filter it. We will provide filtration systems because there's lots of bacteria, as you know, in that water. You don't want to drink it straight from the river. You're going to want a couple bottles because we won't have that filter out all the time. So when we stop to fill up water, you're going to want to fill up 2 bottles. You have to be drinking constantly. You'll hear the phrase POAC, pee often and clear. The only way that's going to happen is if you keep your body hydrated. So 2 good sized water bottles. These are 32-ounce water bottles. I really like them. They got a nice wide top. I think we picked those up at Walmart. They were pretty cheap. Any kind of water bottle will work. You just want something durable that's not going to break on you. You don't want to get out there, have your water bottle break, have the lid break, and then you have nothing to carry water. As far as eating, I believe that the eating utensils will be provided. They always have in the past. I have my own. You'll get a little cup like this. You'll also get some dishes for cooking, and all that will be explained a little bit more at a later time. So you don't really need to bring something like this, but I did want to show you this. I bring my coffee cup because I'm a coffee guy. This is my spoon I made last year. We were short on spoons, so I grabbed my pocket knife and I whittled one out. I'm going to bring it again this year. Worked out pretty good. So if you want to do this, that's something fun to do when we're sitting around the fire. I can kind of help you, show you, teach you how to do that later. That brings me into knives. Knives are always a big question. So, those of you who know me know I'm a knife guy. I have all kinds of knives, and I've taken all kinds of knives on this trip. So, one of the things that has come up recently is this guy, a hatchet or a machete. You don't need this, okay? We've had people take them in the past. I've taken one time just because I didn't know. Your gear gets really heavy and it's cumbersome, and when we stop to make camp, you got to pull it all up out of the river. It's not a lot of fun to pack around a bunch of stuff you don't need. It's exhausting. You want to just be able to relax and have fun. You don't need this. We're not chopping trees down. We're not Paul Bunyan. Chances are the firewood we're going to be using is only going to be enough to cook, and most of it is going to be around this size. It's not going to be big pieces of wood. You're not having a bonfire in the backyard. We're going to find debris wood. We're going to break it up, most of what we can, and we're going to use that to make our fire. It's going to be smaller kindling. There have been people in the past asked about machetes. I've always taken a machete. Here's one of my favorites. You can take something like this if you want. Again, there's no need. I think you're going to find yourself packing it for no reason. When we're hiking, this is a little bit more handy because we may be on an overgrown trail and you got it cleared out. So the knife I'm taking this year is actually this one. It's a K-bar military marine knife, standard issue knife. It is a larger knife because that way it's multifunctional. You don't necessarily even need something like this. I'm taking this, but this is just kind of something I like to do. I like to take a bigger knife because it's a multifunctional tool. I like to kind of put my knives to the test, see what they'll do. What I recommend, so if you're going to bring a knife, I recommend something like this. Like a little pair of Gerber pliers. This is great for cooking, getting your food and getting things out of the fire. It's got a small pocket knife in it. For most everything you're going to need a knife for, a small pocket knife is going to work. You may want to whittle, you may want to carve a spoon. It's going to be very difficult to do that with something like this or with a larger knife like what I'm planning on bringing. I will also be bringing my Gerber, so I will have a small knife for whittling and things like that. I think for the most part that's everything you need to know. If you still have questions, feel free to contact me, contact Drew, some of us that went before the Belvilles. And we can kind of try and get those answered for you. So I'm looking forward to it. I hope you are too. And I can't wait to see you guys all out there.